The instructions arrived too late. Just a single sheet of paper slipped under my door while I was asleep. The ink was a faded, watery gray, as if the printer had been running out. "Evacuate immediately," it read in a stark, blocky font. No reason given, no authority cited, just that one chilling command. My heart hammered against my ribs. It felt real. The paper was coarse, the kind used for official notices, not pranks. I threw a few essentials into a backpack: water, bottle, wallet, a half-eaten granola bar. I didn't waste time changing. I just needed to get out. When I yanked the door open, the silence hit me first. My apartment building, usually a cacophony of distant TVs and muffled arguments, was dead quiet. I raced down the 3 flights of stairs, my footsteps echoing unnaturally in the empty stairwell. The front lobby was deserted, the security desk unmanned. I burst onto the street, expecting chaos. Sirens, people running, cars gridlocked, but there was nothing. Absolutely nothing. The street was empty, not just quiet, but void of all life. No cars parked along the curb. No stray cats darting into alleyways. Even the wind seemed to have died. It was like a photograph of a city, not the city itself. A deep, primal unease settled in my stomach. Where had everyone gone? How could an entire neighborhood vanish without a trace? I started walking, then jogging, my breath fogging in the strangely cold air. My own footsteps were the only sound, a lonely rhythm in a silent world. As I reached the corner, a piece of cardboard hanging from a lamppost caught my eye. It was scrawled with crude black lettering, like a child's warning. It said, "Last one missed." Missed what? The evacuation? The bus? The rapture? The ambiguity was worse than any specific threat. It implied a deadline had passed, a window of opportunity had closed, and I was on the wrong side of it. I looked up and down the intersecting street. More emptiness. A perfectly preserved, perfectly dead city. I was alone, the last one, and I had missed it. I kept walking, directionless. Then it happened. The streetlights overhead, which had been shining with a steady orange glow, blinked. 1, 2, 3. A synchronized flicker down the entire length of the avenue. My breath caught in my throat. It was deliberate. An electrical surge wouldn't be so precise. Someone or something was watching. I scanned the windows of the surrounding buildings, searching for a face, a shadow, any sign of another person. Nothing. I felt a surge of desperate hope. Maybe it was a signal. Maybe others were hiding, just like me, waiting for the all clear. Maybe this was a test. I waited. The silence returned, heavier this time, pressing in on me. Minutes stretched into what felt like hours. Then, with a soft hum that seemed to come from everywhere at once, the screens turned on. Every single one of them. The massive digital billboard on the side of a skyscraper. The TVs in the storefront windows of an electronics shop. Even the tiny ATM screens. They all lit up, displaying the same message in stark white text against a black background. 5 words that froze the blood in my veins. We expected fear, we. Who are we? The word implied a collective, an audience. They had been watching this whole time. Watching me? Watching everyone before they vanished? The statement wasn't a threat, but an observation. A clinical, detached analysis of a failed experiment. They expected fear, but they didn't get it. Not from the others, at least. The others just left. They must have, quietly, orderly, without panic. As I stood there, paralyzed by the message glowing all around me, the lights blinked again. 1, 2, 3. The exact same pattern as before, but this time was different. This time a sound followed. A scream. It wasn't mine. It was distant, but clear. Then another, and another. From the apartments above, from the alleyways, from blocks away, a chorus of pure, unadulterated terror erupted from the empty city. People were here. They had been here all along, hiding in the silence. But what changed? Why were they screaming now? The message hadn't changed. The blinking lights were the same. It was as if the second blinking pattern was a trigger, a cue for the real performance to begin. They didn't get fear the first time, so they were trying again, and this time they were succeeding. The thought was horrifying. This wasn't an evacuation. It was an audience, and we were the show. The screams faded as quickly as they began, replaced once more by that suffocating silence. I didn't move. I couldn't. I was trapped in a city-sized laboratory. I finally forced myself to move, to run. I didn't know where I was going, just away. Away from the screens, away from the blinking lights. I found myself on my own street again, my own apartment building, looming like a tombstone. That's when I saw it. Another notice, not on paper this time, but projected onto the brick wall of the building next to mine. It wasn't words, it was a map of the city, my city. A single red dot pulsed on the map, glowing like a malevolent eye. It wasn't moving, it was fixed. I traced the streets with my eyes, my blood running cold as I recognized the location. It was here, my street, my block. The dot was right on top of us. It felt personal. It felt deliberate. The evacuation notice that came too late, the message about expecting fear. And now this, a marker, a target. Why here? Why my home? Was it random? Or was there something special about this place, about the people who lived here? As I stared at the map, a new warning appeared. This one without sound, without light. It just was a thought, an idea placed directly into my mind, as clear as if it were spoken aloud. Don't look up. My eyes were glued to the red dot on the wall. Every instinct, every fiber of my being screamed at me to obey the mental command. Don't look up. It's a trap. But the human mind is a perverse thing. The one thing you are told not to do becomes the only thing you can think of. My gaze drifted slowly, hesitantly, from the map on the wall upwards towards the night sky. At first I saw nothing, just the familiar hazy orange glow of city light pollution against the clouds. There were no stars. Then I saw it. It wasn't a light. It was a lack of light. A shape, an impossible shape, cutting a hole in the sky. It was a perfect circle of absolute blackness, darker than the night, eclipsing the clouds behind it. It was vast, covering what must have been the entire neighborhood. And as I watched, transfixed in horror, the circle began to shrink. It wasn't moving away. It was descending, like a colossal lens focusing on a single point. On the red dot? On me. The mental voice came again, cold and final. We see you. I understood then. The empty streets, the silence. They weren't evacuated. They were harvested. The first group, the ones who left quietly, they missed it. They were the control group. Now it was our turn, the ones left behind to be observed, the ones who would provide the fear they expected. The blinking lights weren't a signal. They were a shutter click. They were taking pictures. The screams weren't just screams. They were data. And the descending darkness, that was the collection. The lens was focusing, and the experiment was about to reach its conclusion. I was the last data point, and I had nowhere left to run. The last thing I saw before the blackness consumed everything was a final silent blink from all the streetlights. 1, 2, 3.